Hello everyone, my name is Ashish and welcome to the Academic channel. So today in this lecture we are going to discuss about how to write the unit testing for your controller class with the help of a Mockito framework. So guys, in this lecture I am going to develop a Spring Boot application, and then I am going to write a controller class, and there I am going to write the two endpoint, the post endpoint and the get endpoint, and then I will show you how to write the unit testing of that endpoint by using a Mockito framework, right? So guys, let's start the session. So first of all, I'm going to create a Spring Boot application using a Spring Initializer. So here you can see that we have a Maven project and the language is Java, and the Spring Boot 2.3.4 version I'm using. So let's change the group name. So let's change the artifact name, or here the project name, and packaging is jar, and the Java 8 I will use. Now let's add some dependencies. So here I will use Spring Wave, then I will use Spring Boot Dev Tool. Then for the database I will use S2 database, and for the repository purpose I will use Spring Data JPA. So these are the four dependencies I have added to this application. So let's generate it. So here it is going to download in a G format, right? So here we need to extract it. So let's go to the folder, and here we need to extract it. So now let's go to the Eclipse, and here we will import our application. So let's import. So let's find the directory where we have downloaded, open it, and finish this. So guys, you can see that it is going to import our application in my Eclipse, right? Now I am going to create all the packages which I'm going to use for this session. So let me copy this package from here. So guys, go to the Java folder, and here let's create the packages. So first package I will create as a model, and inside this model package I will create my model classes. So now let's add one more package, like a service package, to add our service classes. Let's add one more package, DAO package, and here we are going to create our repository classes. So now let's add one more package, controller package. So here we are going to create our REST controllers. So now let's go to our model package, and here I'm going to create one entity class with the name user. So this is my entity class. So mark this with a entity annotation. And the user class has the three attributes with integer type of ID, and the name of a string type, and user, let's say one more property as a string type of name role. So guys, these are the three properties I have added to my user class or model class. And here ID, I want that ID should be like the primary key. So mark this with the ID annotation. And here I want that ID should be auto generated. So here mark this with the generated value annotation. Now let's add the constructor for this class. Let's add the default constructor, deselect all, generate. Now let's add the getter and the setter method for these three properties. Select all and generate. So guys, I have created one entity class with the name user, and here we have the ID, name, and the roll numbers are the three attributes, and the ID is like a primary key, and also it is a auto generated, right? So now here I'm going to create one more model class for my response for my custom response class. So let's add one more model class, and this model class will be named as a response. So here I'm going to create a response for a custom response purpose. So here we can find the two properties. Let's say message with the type string, and the other property I will add of boolean of status, right? So we have the two properties in the response class as a message and a status. So let's add the parameter first, the parametric constructor. Let's add the default constructor. Let's add the getter and the setter method for these two properties. So guys, here I have created one response model class for my custom response purpose, in which we have the message and the status attribute. Now let's create our repository class. So let's go to the DAO folder, and here I will create one repository interface. So name this with the user repository. So here I will extend this class with a JPU repository. And in the generic part, we need to pass our entity. So user is my entity class. And here we need to pass the return type of the primary key of the entity class. So primary key of the entity class is like is like of the integer type. So here we need to pass the integer, right? So guys, I have created one user repository class to deal with the like the CRUD operations. Now let's create our service class. So go to the service package, and here let's create service class with the name, let's say user service. So mark this class with the annotation @service to make this as a service class. So all right, and guys, here I'm going to create the two method to save the user object to the database and to get a user from the database, to get all the users from the database. So guys, before writing the two method, I will inject my user repository here. Mark this with the annotation auto add. Now let's create the two methods. First method to save a new object to the database. So here the return type will be of a response, like save user model with the user. Import this with the user model. Now let's call the repository dot. We have a save method inside our JPA repository to save a new object to my database. And here you can see that the argument is of entity. So here we will pass user object, right? So it is going to save this user to my H2 database. And here I want to return a response as a response custom class. So let's create the object of my response class, and in the constructor we need to pass the message and the status. So message I'm going to keep as a saved user with id, and here I will pass user dot. I will take the id from get method, like user dot id. And now we need to pass the the second argument as a status. For that status I will pass the boolean dot true, right? So these are the return type, and here I am like returning our customized response, and here I am passing the message as saved user with ID and this ID, and the status is true. So now let's write the another method to get all the user object from the database. So response is the return type, get all users. So in the return type, or we can do like a repository dot find all method. We have a find all method in a JPA repository to get all the object from the database. So guys, it is going to return the list of the user object. So let me store this user object to some list with the name users. Import this to the util package. And now what I want to return the response object. So new response, let's create the object of the response. And here in the constructor, we need to pass the message like number of user. And here we can take the number of user or the count of the user by users dot size method. So guys, it is going to return us the size of the user list. And in the status part, we can pass the Boolean value as true, right? So here I am, all right. And guys, here I am like returning our customized response. So these are the two methods I have created in my service class to save the user to the database and to get user from the database. So now it's time to let's create a controller class. So go to the controller package and here let's create one class, something with name user controller, right? Finish this. So mark this class with a REST controller to make this a REST controller. And also I will provide the root URL. So request mapping. And in the request mapping, the URL I will pass as user. So now like guys, now I will create the two endpoint, the post endpoint and the get endpoint. So guys, before that, I like to inject the user service inside this controller. So private user service. So annotate this with the auto-var. Now let's create the first endpoint, a post endpoint to like save the new object to the database. So return type will be of response, save, and in the save method argument, we need to take our user entity model class. And here we need to call our service class method as we have method as save user method. And here you can see that argument here it is taking as a user object. So here we will pass the user. So here it is going to save this user to the database. So let's add the return statement here, right? And here guys, if you will see, here I am marking this with the post mapping so that I want that this method should be called with the HTTP post method only. So add user as the URL. And here we need to mark this inside our save method argument or the parameter as a request body, because guys we are taking this user object from the request header body. So that's why we have to mark this with the request body. So it is going to take this user from the request header body, right? And then it is going to call the save user of a service class, and there we are saving this user to the h2 database. So now let's add one more endpoint to get all the users from the database. So this will be of response type, get all user or users, return. We have a service dot, I have created one method with the name get all user. So here it is going to return all the user in a list, and then it is going to return in a response. So here I have written one endpoint. So let me mark this with a get mapping, and here I want that this method should be called with the http get method. So get users, right? So guys, here I have created the two endpoint for this application, like to add a new object to the database and to get all the user object from the database. So now it's time to like test that whether these endpoints are working or not. So let me save all the classes. So let run as Java application. So here you can see that our application has started on port number 8080. So now let's go to the Postman and let's check the endpoint. So here the request mapping URL is root URL as user and the add user to add and get users to get, right? So let's go to our Postman user and add user, and guys, this is the post method, and here in a row and in a or guys in like the request header body, I'm passing the JSON object as name and roll number, and all right, and guys here and here I'm not passing the ID because guys ID is like the auto generated I have kept, right? So for that I'm passing the name as xadmin and the role as admin I am passing as a request header body. And let's hit the send button and let's see that whether we are able to add or not. All right, so we need to change this port number. So here I was using port is like 8080, right? So let me hit the send button again. So here guys, you can see that we got the response as saved user with ID 1 and status is true. So now let's add one more user object as Asis name and the role I will keep as a user. Let's hit the send button. So guys, you can see that saved user with ID 2, right? Now let's fetch all the object we have saved. Get method, and this is the get users, right? So let's hit the send button and let's see that whether we are getting the users or not. So guys, you can see that we are getting the number of user as 2 we are getting. So it means that our endpoints are working fine, right? So now it's time to write the test cases or the unit test case for these two endpoints which are available in our controller, for the post method and also for the get method. And guys, you can see that the post method response is of type our response custom class, right? So let's go to our test folder, source test Java, and here we will find one class with the Mockito application test. And here inside this class, I'm going to write the test cases for the two endpoints just I have created inside my user controller class. So for that, I will mark this with this class with the run with annotation. So here I'm going to use like the JUnit 4. So let me add the JUnit 4 library to my build path. So here you can see that we have added the JUnit 4 jars here, right? So these are the two jars we are using for the JUnit. So here I am going to run this class with a Spring runner. Runner dot class, right? So let me make this as a public. So now guys, I'm going to inject the MVC the mock MVC first. So let me inject the mock MVC. So guys, if you see, the mock MVC is like the entry point for the server side Spring MVC test support. So this is like coming from the package. So wait, I will show you the package. All right. So let's go to the browser and let's check this mock MVC class. So here guys, you can see in the like the documentation of a Spring official documentation, here you can see that mock MVC is a class, and like it is a final class and it is like extending object. All right. And guys, the main entry point for the server side Spring MVC test support. All right. And guys, it has the two method. Like the first method is like the get dispatcher servlet method to return the dispatcher servlet instance, and we have a perform method in which it is taking the argument as a request builder, and like it is to perform a request and return a type to allow the chaining for further actions, right? So let's go to our Eclipse. And guys, here I have like injected our mock MVC. So now guys, I am going to like write a method to set up a method, and like let me write one method, public void setup. And guys, I want that this method should run like before the initialization of our test class. So for that, what I will do, I will mark this with the annotation, let's say before, and we are like importing with the JUnit package. And guys, inside the setup method, I'm going to take the mock MVC object by calling the method of a mock MVC like the builder class. So let me show you the mock MVC builder class, mock MVC, and we have a mock MVC builder class, right? So in this we have the two method like the standalone and the web application context. So guys, let me show you in the doc version of the Spring official doc version. So here you can see that this is our mock MVC builder class, and it is a final class, and it is extending object, and the main class to import in order to access all the available mock MVC builders. And this class has the two method. The first method is like the standalone uh, like the standalone like the setup method, and here it is taking the argument as a controller or the list of controllers or the arrays of controller, and here it is going to build a mock MVC instance or and by restricting one or more controller. It means that if you're using this standalone setup method, then we need to pass one controller or the n number of controllers here, and guys, it is going to return a mock MVC instance or object, right? So guys, we have the another method, the web app context setup method, and guys, it is taking the argument as a web application context object or the instance, right? So guys, it is going to return the mock MVC instance, right? So guys, you can see that it is a static method, right? So we can call this web app context setup method with the name of the class. So guys, here I'm going to use this method to get the instance of our mock MVC. So this is our mock builder class, and we have the two method, let's say with the name the web app context setup, and here we need to pass our like the web application context object. So let me inject this web application context object in our class. So private web application context, and this is context. So mark this with the auto var annotation, right? So here we will pass our context dot build method. So guys, it is going to return the mock MVC like the instance or object. So let us store in a mock MVC instance variable. So here I am storing in a mock MVC instance variable, right? So now guys, I have written the setup method to just set up to get the mock MVC object by calling the web application context setup method of my mock MVC builder class. And guys, here it is taking the context object, the web application context object. So guys, here I've injected the web application context object, and here I'm passing to the web app context setup method. And guys, it is just returning our mock MVC object to us. So now we are going to write our test class for the first test class, the test method for our uh, like the post method or to the add user method. So make this as a public. So add user. So here I'm going to create our user model object. user equals to new user, right? So here I have created the user object, and then we are setting by calling a setter method. And guys, here I'm setting the name as, let's say, xadmin, right? And then I am setting the user dot, uh, like the set method with the role, and as a role I am setting as admin, right? So guys, here I am setting the two properties of the user class, the name and the roll number. And guys, the id is like the auto generated, so I have left the id. So guys, here I'm setting the name and the roll number. So guys, here we need to convert this raw data. So now guys, we need to convert this raw data to the the JSON data. So guys, here we cannot pass the raw data. So for this, we need to use the object mapper to convert this raw data to a string. So let me inject the object mapper here. New object mapper, and this is a class, guys, object mapper class. So with this object mapper class, I'm going to convert this raw user data to a string. So let me show you in the browser. So this is our like object mapper class, all right? And this is extending the object codec. And these here, and guys, this has the number of the method to like convert the data to the like anything. But guys, here I'm going to use one method. Let me show you. So here I will use the method like the write value as a string method to convert like the Java value or the Java object to a string. So this method that can be used to serialize any Java value as a string, right? So guys, here I'm going to use the write value as string method. All right. So guys, here I have injected our object mapper class. So let me object mapper dot, we have a method with the name like something, write value as a string. All right. And here we need to pass our like the Java value or the object. So here I will pass user object. So guys, it is going to return a string. So let me store this string in a JSON, something like a JSON request. So this is going to throw some exception, so we need to handle it. So let me mark this with the exception, right? So guys, we got as a string, our as a user object as a string we got, right? And now guys, we are going to like write the our test condition. So for that, MVC result. So guys, here I will store this MVC result, and like we have the MockMvc, yeah. And here we have the perform method, and guys, you can see that it is taking the argument as a request builder, right? So this is the perform method, and here we need to pass our post method. And inside the post method as an argument, we need to pass our URL. So this is the root URL as user, and the post mapping URL was like add user, right? So this we need to pass here. And let me import the package for post method. All right, so I don't know why I'm not getting, so that's why I have just, so let me paste this import statement. So guys, we need to import this like import static from the spring framework.test web servlet.request dot like the mock MVC request builder post method. All right, then we have to call like the content method, and here we need to pass our string. So string is like a JSON request, right? So here we pass. Now we need to set our content type. So here we are taking the content type, and content type is like media, and here the media type I will take as the media type I will take, and here we are using application JSON value, right? Application JSON value. There should be application. Yeah, this is application JSON value, and then we need to call expect and here you can see that we are getting as argument as we are getting as a like the request like the result matcher. So here we need to pass our result matcher. So for that we need to call status method. So let me import this. I don't know, again it is not taking. So let me import this status from our MockMvc result matcher, right? So this is our like the matcher. Now it's fine. So here we need to call, we have a method with the name is okay method, and then I need to call and return method to return the response, right? So guys, I have written this, and now guys, so guys, here the result is in a like a string format. All right, so now the result is in a string format. So now we need to change it to a, all right, so guys, now guys, we need to change this result to a string format. So for that, how we can do? So let me take one variable as a string result context. All right, so a string as a result context, and there result dot we can call this. So guys, we can call a method something like get response. Yeah, we have a method with the name get response, and then we can call get context, and here we can call get context as a string. Yes, we have this method get context as a string. So guys, it is going to convert our like the mock result or the MVC result to a string type. And now guys, we need to convert this like the result context to our like the customize like the return type. And here you can see that, and here we are using the response as the return type, right? So we need to convert this to our response class type. So for that, what we can do, we can simply call a response. All right, and then we have a response variable, and then guys, we can use object mapper to read the value. So object mapper dot read value, and inside this we need to pass our like the result context, and then we need to pass our response class, response dot class, right? Cannot static reference of non-static. All right, okay. So guys, here we need to take the object of the object mapper. So this is the object of the object mapper dot read value, and then guys, it is going to convert in our response customize class, right? And here guys, we got the response, and now guys, we need to get the actual response as like the controller. So now guys, we converted this to a response. So now let's write the asset method to like to check our like the validation. So here I will use the asset method class, and we have a so let me import this first with the JUnit, right? And then we have a method with the call asset true, and here it is type the boolean value. So here I'm going to check the condition. So we have the response object, and in the response we have a field with the name as a status is boolean. So we need to call is status, and then here I will do equals to like the boolean dot true. So guys, here guys, if my like the status is true, then guys it is going to like pass my test. If that if like the status is false here, then guys it is going not going to pass our like test, right? So this is for our like the for the like the post method, that is the add user method. So now let's write one more test method for my like the get method. So here I am going to copy this whole, and then I will change wherever it is required. So let's change the method name first, get user. So let me mark this with the proper like add user test. So in the same way it will be add get user test method, right? So here we don't need to require any like the user object. So in the same way, so we not need to like convert into a string as well. And here we need to write a get method, right? So we need to import with the statement. So let me copy this, paste it here, and let me make this as a get. So it will import from the MockMvc request builder class. All right. And here we don't need to write any like the add user. So here we need to pass the get users. Let me check the URL first. Yeah, it is get user, and the root URL is user. So here I don't require the JSON request because we are not passing any like the URL in the request header. So we don't require this. So context type media application JSON value, and expected is like status is okay, and return. So return, so here we need to convert this to a result to a our like a response type in a string, and then we will convert this result context string to our response type of data, right? And then we will do asset dot as a result asset true, and then we will check our status, right? So I think this is great. So guys, I have written the two test method, a unit test method to test the add user, and also test the endpoint to get user, right? So now let's save it. Now let's run our test class, and let's check that whether we are getting, so whether it is passing or not. So unit test, so we got some initialization error, invalid mock test, no runner method. Okay, so guys, here I think I have imported with the wrong test import method test. So let me import it again with the JUnit test, right? So in the same way, same for this test, import with the JUnit. And guys, you can see that we are like like passed with the test, and here guys we can able to pass with the add user test also and the get user test also. So guys, in this way guys, we are able to write our test unit for our post method and the get method. So guys, add user test is a post method, so that's why I am like creating the user object. And all right, and then guys, we need to convert this raw data to a string data first. So that's why I'm using the object mapper dot write value as a string method to convert this user the Java object to a string value. And then guys, here I'm using the MockMvc class like the perform method, and here we're writing the post method because we need to test our post method, and here we need to write our address or the URL, and then context.json request as a string. Here we need to pass, right? And guys, here we need to define our content type as a media type, application JSON value it is taking, and as expected, the like the status should be okay, and then return. And guys, we are taking this response result response in a our like a string. All right, and then we are converting this result context to our like the customized response class. So guys, the response class is my response customized class, so here we need to convert this result to a customized response class. So for that, again, I am taking the help of a object mapper class, and we have a method with the name read value, so it will read the value, and then here I will need to pass the class name in which I want to convert. So here I want to convert a response class, so that's why I've written a response class, and the result like the context string value, right? So guys, it is going to convert this string to our customized response class. And after that, I'm using the asset class as asset true method to check the status. If the status we are getting as true, then guys it is going to pass, otherwise it is going to fail, right? So guys, in the same way, I have written for the get user test also, and here you can see that I'm using the get method, and here I'm passing the URL, right? And this is the media value, and again we are converting this to a string, and then we need to convert this string result string to our customized response class. So for that, I'm taking the help of object mapper, and then guys, here it is taking in a response, if my status is like true, then guys it is going to pass. So guys, in the status you can see that in the in all right, so guys, in the response class you can see that we have a status field, and if this status field is like true, then it is going to pass, otherwise it is going to fail. All right, so this is the configuration guys. I have shown you how to write the unit test class of your controller endpoints in your Spring Boot application. So thank you and have a nice day.